Hi everyone, and welcome to the tutorial for version 0.10 of Grid Singularity's D3A. In this release, we have released two features. The first one, which is much more major, is the introduction of our Canary Network, which you can see here. And the second one is a new feature related to changing the market maker parameters as an event. So I'll talk about the Canary Networks first, as this is a little bit more impactful. So now, in addition to simulations and collaborations, we have Canary Networks. And a Canary Network in this version, which is basically our beta proof of concept version, is basically taking a collaboration and then running it in real time with live data connected. So what we have here, and this is what we presented at the Odyssey Momentum Hackathon in early November, is our first Canary Network, which we launched with our partner Oli Systems. And so you can see the format here is the same, looks the same as a simulation. And so when you go to the modeling page, what we did is we simulated different households that have Oli Systems devices, and then we actually connected the smart meters of the Oli houses to these homes. So the purpose of the Canary Network is to connect live data streams to our grid model in order to run simulations in real time. So that means that the simulation is running and new data is being read every 15 minutes in accordance with our 15-minute market slot. So it runs a bit slower than the simulations and collaborations, but it runs in real time and allows us to measure the data that we're reading from these devices. And so the purpose here is to move closer to a simulated deploy state where we're actually reading live data instead of energy profiles. And then we have the same setup where different users, researchers, and grid operators can actually trade on behalf of these devices and change some of the parameters in the markets. So this is the example we had for Odyssey Momentum, and we're going to basically build more and more Canary Networks. We probably have one Canary Network per community of devices that we would connect, and then in the future, we have plans to expand this tool. So in the future, we imagine that we have different communities connected to different Canary Networks, and we need to determine if these Canary Networks can interact at all on a higher level, say if they're in the same country or the same state. And then we also want to figure out how can we take some of the data from these Canary Networks and circle that back to the simulation stage so that researchers can continue to study some of the results and maybe play with some of the parameters, since this one is reading live data and the data comes much more slowly. But the great thing about Canary Networks is once we start them, we don't stop them. They just keep running. So you can see already on the results page, we have this mechanism in the upper left-hand corner where we can view different weeks of the Canary Network. So as of now on the results page, we're still showing the data per week. And as we get historical results, we'll tabulate the previous weeks here. So let me just go into some of the details about this Canary Network in particular. So we build this, as you can see, like we do from a simulation or a collaboration. We have the grid model, and then for a Oli device, we have the chance to turn on the live data. So only admin users can create Canary Networks, so that's mostly Grid Singularity. But if we're working with you as a researcher or an aggregator or a community leader, then we would model your grid in D3A and then work with you to basically make the digital twin of all of your devices in our software. So to make the digital twin, we add your device, and then we need to open the API and open the live data. And so we have some documentation on exactly what our API looks like, and we're trying to standardize that so that all the users who are sending their live data to the Canary Network can send it using our standard so that we can work with many different data providers. So for an individual energy asset or digital twin here, in the collaboration mode, we have to turn the API open in order to let someone register to trade on behalf of this energy asset. And then here to connect to the live stream, we have to also open the live data. And in our backend, we've connected by the name of the device here. So we have a database of device names and data streams. So so we created this grid of 10 or 11 OLI devices here. And, we can also add normal devices that use our template strategy, or even energy profiles from our library or that a user uploads. So in this way, it works the same as a collaboration. You can also still just configure a normal load here and open the API for someone to trade on behalf of this load. And then, of course, you have the OLI PV, which is reading from the OLI data stream specifically for this PV. And then on the grid level, we have the community and the grid. And in this case, it's the same. We can open the API for the markets, and this allows the grid operator to to connect to the grid operator through the grid operator API and change details like the grid fees for this simulation and for this energy community. So as the admin at Grid Singularity, we create the grid configuration here, the digital twin, and connect to the live data by opening the API and the live data stream. And then we have the registry. And this was the Canary Network that we experimented with all the teams at the Odyssey Momentum hackathon. So the grid operator team, they connected to the grid and community markets to influence the grid fees there. And they did, I think in this case, they connected using their Aziz grid tariff model. And then different members from the three teams, smart agent teams, connected to trade on behalf of different devices in the Canary Network. So we were able to have users connect on behalf of these devices, and then we approve their registration, and then they start trading. And so what we want to do here is keep the Canary Network running so that different participants can come and register at different times to trade on behalf of different devices. And we hope, maybe they can host their trading strategies in AWS or on another platform so that it can stay running for a long time, maybe over weeks or months, and we can already start to get a history of what is going on in this smart energy community under different circumstances and different seasons. And so what we did at the hackathon, so you can see the grid level, and here we simulated a blackout, so that's why you don't see any additional energy data points here in the profile. But you can see that the grid operator connected, and they started changing the grid fees here according to the Aziz model. And so since in this market there was no energy being traded, you can see according to the Aziz model, the grid fee decreased to its lowest number here. And then if we look in the community market, we can see that when we simulated the blackout, I think it was at the end of the day, so there wasn't any additional energy that was stored or PV, so it kind of had to wait until the morning to see trading happening inside the community level to sustain itself. And then we can see how the grid fee was also impacted here. And so that kind of gets into the second feature I mentioned, which is the feature to change the role and mode of the market maker. And that's what this event is here that we simulated during the hackathon. So what we wanted to see is we have the market maker, and in order to simulate a blackout, we basically wanted to disconnect the market maker from the community. So in this case, the mode becomes an infinite power plant, and then the role becomes islanded. So I think in this case, I can change it back to islanding mode if I like. And then that would create an event in the timeline, and my market maker would be islanded. So that's a new feature that we had. In the past, we couldn't change these parameters while the simulation was running. Great. So I think that is pretty much the overview of the Canary Network feature that we have. Yes, in the future, we will connect more communities here and be able to look at the data flow as the Canary Networks run for longer and longer periods of time. Yeah, so please stay tuned, and we'll update you on our future progress soon. Thanks.